You ever get that funny feeling, like you're walking alone in a burning city? Everybody pretending you don't exist, while somewhere in the shadows, someone very powerful is quietly saying, "Don't touch that one."
Yeah.
That's the joke they don't want you to hear. See, most people think protection looks like bodyguards' money or loud announcements. But real protection? Oh, it's silent. It moves like a whisper. Doors you never knocked on suddenly open. Enemies who planned your downfall suddenly disappear. Situations that should have destroyed you somehow collapse before they reach you. Coincidence? Ha. There's no such thing as coincidence in a rigged game. What if I told you got unknown friends in high places, people you never met, people you never asked, watching, calculating, making one phone call and changing the whole script of your life? And the scary part, you don't even know why they chose you. Because sometimes the most dangerous person in the room is the one who looks unprotected, but isn't. So tonight, we're going to talk about the invisible war being fought over your future, the silent shields around your life, and why what they are willing to do to protect you might just shock you. And trust me, by the end of this, you might start wondering who's really watching who. Ever notice how some disasters just miss you? Not by much, sometimes by inches, sometimes by seconds. Sometimes by decisions you don't even remember making. It's almost funny when you think about it. People call it luck. Some call it fate. But what if it's something much more calculated than that? What if while you were busy surviving, something else was busy making sure survival stayed an option for you? Think about the times things should have gone wrong. The moments where one wrong move could have ruined your reputation, your future, or your peace. Yet somehow, the right person showed up at the right time. The right information reached you before it was too late. Or maybe someone who was against you suddenly lost interest, backed off, or got distracted by something else. You probably laughed it off and moved on, but patterns are never accidents. Real protection rarely announces itself. It doesn't send you a message saying, "Congratulations, you are being protected." No, it works quietly. It adjusts outcomes. It changes conversations you were never part of. It removes obstacles before you even know they existed. While others are fighting visible battles, some people are unknowingly benefiting from invisible ones. And the strange part is, the more unaware you are, the smoother it works. Because if you knew every time something almost went wrong, you might stop moving forward. You might become paranoid. You might start doubting every step. So instead, the protection stays quiet. Almost like a hidden hand on a chessboard, moving pieces while you think you're just playing checkers. Have you ever wondered why sometimes people underestimate you? Why they assume you're alone, unsupported, or weak? That assumption itself becomes part of the shield. Because when people think nobody stands behind you, they reveal their true intentions. They show their plans too early. They expose their strategies without realizing someone might already be 10 steps ahead of them. Sometimes protection looks like delay. You wanted something so badly, and it didn't happen. You thought you were being ignored, rejected, blocked. But later you realized, if you had gotten what you wanted at that exact moment, it would have led you straight into chaos. What felt like abandonment was actually redirection. Other times protection looks like separation. People you trusted slowly drifted away. At the time it felt personal. It felt painful. But distance has a strange way of revealing truth. Later you see what they became, what they were involved in, or how their path collapsed, and you quietly realize you were removed before the damage could reach you. There are also moments where you said something you didn't plan to say. A warning. A refusal. A gut reaction. And later you realize that one sentence saved you from a long chain of problems. almost like your instincts were receiving information your conscious mind didn't have access to yet. Protection doesn't always mean comfort. Sometimes it means pressure, being pushed to grow faster than others, being forced to learn lessons early, being made resilient through situations that felt unfair at the time. Because fragile things can't be trusted with important futures. Strength often comes disguised as difficulty. You might even notice how certain opportunities appear right when you're about to give up. Not huge miracles, just enough. Just enough support. Just enough motivation. Just enough proof to keep you moving. Almost like someone understands exactly how much you need to continue, but never so much that you become dependent. And maybe the most unsettling part is realizing you may never know the full story. You may never know who spoke your name in a room you never entered, who defended your character in conversations you never heard, who decided you were worth protecting based on something you did without realizing anyone was watching. Because sometimes protection isn't about who you know. Sometimes it's about who knows you. And sometimes the quietest safety is the most powerful kind, the kind that lets you walk through chaos looking ordinary, while forces you cannot see quietly make sure you make it to the next chapter. Some people move through the world thinking nobody is paying attention. They walk through rooms, sit at tables, make decisions, and act like the world is a stage where they are the only audience. But the truth is, there are eyes in the shadows, always watching. Not the kind that stalks or threatens, but the kind that calculates, observes, and protects without revealing themselves. Powerful people, the ones you never meet, the ones whose names never appear in headlines or social media feeds, are quietly watching. They watch for patterns, for risks, for moments when interference could mean the difference between your rise and your fall. They are everywhere and nowhere at the same time, silent sentinels in a world that believes visibility equals influence. These people are not loud. They do not need recognition or applause. Their power is in the subtlety, in the ability to influence outcomes without anyone noticing. They see moves before they happen, threats before they appear, and opportunities before you even realize they exist. They can orchestrate protection from a distance, shifting circumstances, nudging people, creating coincidences that feel natural but are anything but. What seems like luck or divine timing is often a deliberate intervention, a decision made in a room far away by someone with resources, intelligence, and the patience to wait for the perfect moment. Sometimes, the protection they provide is indirect. A word whispered to the right person at the right time. A favor called in that you didn't even know existed. An enemy persuaded, distracted, or redirected before they even knew what they were doing. And while you go about your day, thinking everything is happening on its own, these invisible forces are moving pieces behind the scenes, calculating risk and reward in ways most people cannot comprehend. You might not even notice them until the consequences of their intervention become visible. A plan that should have failed succeeds. A situation that should have crushed you unexpectedly collapses. A person who should have opposed you suddenly disappears from the picture, or changes course at the exact moment that matters. And when you try to figure out why it happened, there is no explanation you can find. You weren't alone, even when it felt like you were, and those watching made sure of it. The scariest part is that these watchers don't just protect indiscriminately. They are selective, precise, and calculated. They analyze every detail, every potential outcome, every ripple effect of their actions. Protecting you is not a casual choice. It is a decision made because they see value, potential, or importance in your existence that others do not. You might be unaware of what makes you special, but they are acutely aware. They understand the weight of influence, and they know that keeping certain people safe can shift the balance of power in ways you can't imagine. Their vigilance can take many forms. Sometimes it is prevention, stopping harm before it reaches you. Sometimes it is preparation, arranging resources or allies so that when a crisis hits, you are not defenseless. Other times it is subtle guidance, a nudge here, a hint there, shaping choices without revealing themselves. They are architects of invisible safety, designing protections that you never see, but always benefit from. And this makes you realize how delicate life can be. The world appears chaotic, dangerous, unpredictable, but there are forces, hidden and powerful, shaping outcomes to keep you alive, to keep you moving forward. It is a quiet war fought for you in the background, battles you never witness, but whose effects are felt every day. While you may face obstacles and challenges, there are unseen hands that anticipate, respond, and intervene in ways that keep you from tipping over the edge. What is terrifying and thrilling at the same time is that you may never know who these people are. You may never meet them, may never hear their names, may never see the rooms where decisions are made. Yet their presence is constant, shaping reality around you. They are hidden guardians in a world that doesn't acknowledge them, powerful forces that understand the value of watching and waiting, of moving in silence while chaos rages around. You exist in the midst of their calculation, their observation, and their decision-making, and that knowledge, once realized, changes the way you see every coincidence, every lucky escape, every unexpected ally, and every enemy who faltered. It forces you to understand that power is not always obvious, that influence does not always shout, and that protection does not always announce itself. You are surrounded by unseen eyes, people in high places who care more about your survival and your trajectory than you will ever know, shaping reality in ways that seem impossible, but are real, and knowing that realization leaves you unsettled, aware, and, if you listen closely, just a little afraid of how far their reach might extend. The world is full of battles most people never notice. Wars are waged in silence, behind closed doors, in rooms where your name may be mentioned without your knowledge. These are not the battles you see on social media, the fights that fill headlines, or the confrontations that make people take sides openly. No, these are invisible wars fought in shadows, in whispers, in small choices that ripple outward and shape outcomes in ways you will only feel later. While you're focused on the chaos in front of you, there are people moving in the background, calculating, planning, and protecting, often without you realizing it. Every day, situations that could go catastrophically wrong somehow manage to resolve themselves. Problems that should have derailed your life suddenly vanish. Friends or allies appear just in time. Enemies falter when they should have struck. It's easy to chalk this up to luck, coincidence, or timing, but patterns don't lie. There is a hidden battlefield where someone else has already fought for you, where strategies were set in motion long before you ever faced the challenge. These battles are fought with subtlety and precision, the kind that leaves no scars or traces, yet completely alters your trajectory. You might think battles require visible strength, confrontation, and action, but invisible battles are different. They are psychological, strategic, and often entirely unseen. The people fighting them understand that the best way to win is without being noticed. A word spoken to the right person. An influence over a decision you never witnessed. A disruption in the plans of someone who might harm you. All of these are maneuvers on a chessboard, where you are the king, protected by unseen pawns, bishops, and knights moving in ways that feel like miracles to the unaware observer. The timing of these invisible wars is always precise. Too early, and interference could expose the strategy. Too late, and damage is already done. There is a constant calculation, a balancing of risks, a weighing of possible consequences. Your enemies, unaware of the forces aligned for your safety, reveal themselves too early or stumble when they should have been precise. What looks like failure or misfortune on their side is often the result of careful orchestration, someone with resources and influence actively shaping outcomes. And you, blissfully unaware, move through life thinking the chaos is random, when in reality, you are walking through a battlefield that has already been fought for you. Sometimes invisible battles are defensive, neutralizing threats before they reach you. Sometimes they are offensive, shaping circumstances that ensure your path remains clear. And sometimes they are manipulative, guiding people, events, or circumstances without anyone realizing the hand that nudges them. These are battles without noise, without smoke, without blood. Yet they are no less real, and their effects are far-reaching. Every smooth escape, every narrowly avoided disaster, every unexpected ally that appears just in time is the result of strategies executed in places you will never see. The people fighting these invisible battles often have nothing to gain except the satisfaction of keeping someone valuable safe. They do not seek recognition, awards, or gratitude. Their work is hidden, meticulous, and relentless. They operate in high places where decisions are made and influence flows unseen, where a single action can change the course of your life without anyone knowing why it happened. They have studied the game, mastered the players, and understand that the most effective protection is invisible, silent, and untraceable. And the most shocking truth is that you may never know the full extent of these battles. You may never understand who intervened, how many times your life was shielded from catastrophe, or how many potential disasters were quietly neutralized before reaching you. All you feel is the end result, the peace, the success, the victories that feel almost too easy, the doors that open at the right moment. But behind the scenes, the invisible battles continue, a silent war waged on your behalf, shaping reality in ways you cannot measure, and leaving you to wonder how much of your survival is truly yours, and how much was secured in the shadows by forces you will never meet, but whose influence defines the course of your life. Sometimes, the people who intend to harm you never even get the chance. Plans meticulously crafted to bring you down crumble in ways that seem like coincidence, mistakes, or misfortune. You notice it only afterward, when the dust settles, and you realize that someone or something intervened without your awareness. A betrayal that should have succeeded fizzles before it ignites. An attack that seemed inevitable dissolves without warning. Those who thought they controlled the game suddenly find themselves losing, confused, and exposed, wondering how it all went wrong while you continue unaffected, moving as if untouched by the chaos around you. It's not luck, it's precision. It's influence from forces operating in the background, calculating, observing, and deciding the outcomes before you ever see the threat. Sometimes it's someone in a position of power, quietly altering circumstances, a word here, a decision there, a subtle alignment of resources and people to ensure that what should have destroyed you never even reaches you. Other times it's a chain reaction caused by unseen hands nudging people or events, causing errors in timing, miscommunication, or distractions that your enemies never anticipate. What feels like their failure is often the result of deliberate orchestration, carefully executed to protect you without anyone knowing. You start noticing the pattern over time. People who should have been relentless suddenly hesitate. Plans that should have succeeded collapse in their hands. You see enemies faltering at critical moments, making choices that seem irrational, careless, or poorly timed, and you can't help but wonder why. The truth is they are not failing by accident. They are failing because someone else has already moved, someone unknown who values you, someone who acts with strategy and foresight, someone who ensures that their energy, intentions, and attacks cannot reach you. This invisible protection can be subtle. A phone call made in a room you never entered, a favor called in quietly, a situation redirected without anyone realizing it. And by the time the results become visible, the danger has passed, leaving only the appearance of random luck. Those who sought to harm you are left exposed, confused, frustrated, and powerless, while you continue forward unscathed. And the fascinating part is that this protection does not require your awareness. It thrives in secrecy, precisely because visibility would disrupt the balance. You don't need to know who is watching, only that someone is ensuring your survival and success. It's also important to recognize that the failure of your enemies is often orchestrated with intelligence and patience. Timing matters. Influence matters. A small nudge at the right moment can undo weeks, months, or even years of plotting. Those who oppose you rarely see the invisible hand at work, which makes their mistakes inevitable. They act as if everything is under their control, unaware that the true power shaping the outcome is hidden in high places, moving pieces with care, planning contingencies, and ensuring that no harm comes to you without interference. Sometimes the interventions are direct, other times indirect. A friend who seems inconsequential may play a critical role. A miscommunication may divert an enemy's attention, or an unforeseen circumstance may block their path entirely. Every detail matters, and every small action is calculated to neutralize threats efficiently. And the irony is that those who attempt to hurt you often become unwitting participants in their own downfall, manipulated by forces they cannot see, while you remain unaffected, shielded, and even unaware of the full extent of the battle being fought for you. What's most astonishing is that these defenses are ongoing. Protection isn't a single event, it's a continuous effort, a web of influence and strategy that ensures you survive repeated challenges, confrontations, and attacks. And the result is that by the time you notice any threat, it's already too late for your enemies. Their failure has been pre-written, their plans dismantled before they even begin, leaving them stunned, defeated, and wondering how someone they never saw, someone they never suspected, managed to protect you so effectively. This creates a world where danger exists, but it never touches you in ways that matter, because those in high places have decided that your safety, survival, and continued rise are worth intervening for, even if you never learn their names. Sometimes being chosen for protection is the most unsettling revelation of all, because it forces you to realize that your life is more valuable than you ever suspected, that someone somewhere has decided you are worth defending, and that what they are willing to do for you is far beyond what you could imagine. You go about your days thinking the world is random, that luck and coincidence dictate the outcomes of your life. But there are forces at work that see you differently. They see potential, importance, or influence that you may not even recognize in yourself. And they act silently, decisively, and without recognition to ensure that you remain safe. The choices they make, the interventions they orchestrate, and the power they wield to protect you are almost unimaginable, because they exist entirely outside your awareness. You may notice the effects of their protection only in hindsight. A threat disappears. A danger resolves itself without explanation. An enemy falters, fails, or vanishes entirely. Doors open that should have been closed. Opportunities appear at the exact moment you need them. And when you try to trace the cause, it is invisible, a network of influence, calculation, and intervention that remains hidden in the shadows. The reality is that someone has decided that your survival, your rise, and your continued presence in this world are worth extraordinary effort, and that decision can ripple through the lives of countless others. Without them, ever realizing it. The shocking part is understanding the lengths to which these people will go. It is not about convenience or casual assistance. It is about absolute, relentless, and calculated protection. They have the power, the connections, and the intelligence to manipulate situations entirely in your favor, and they use it without hesitation. They can neutralize enemies, redirect threats, orchestrate opportunities, and even manipulate outcomes that should have been catastrophic. And they do it quietly, efficiently, without fanfare, without leaving evidence, so that the world continues to operate as if chaos and danger are random, while in reality, the danger was never allowed to reach you. Being chosen also comes with an invisible weight. It means that someone believes in you enough to intervene on your behalf, often at great risk or effort to themselves. They are invested in your success and survival, and their actions are deliberate and precise. They do not act blindly. Every move is calculated, every step considered, every possibility measured. And that realization is both empowering and unsettling, because it forces you to acknowledge that your life is part of a larger strategy, that your existence is intertwined with forces far beyond your perception, and that there are hands guiding, defending, and shaping your path in ways that most people could never comprehend. Sometimes the protection manifests in unexpected forms. It may be prevention, stopping harm before it even reaches you. It may be redirection, subtly shifting events so that danger never intersects with your life. Or it may be intervention, actively countering threats, neutralizing enemies, or arranging circumstances to favor your survival. The beauty and terror of it is that you often never know when it happens. You only experience the outcome's safety, opportunity, and the sense that the impossible somehow became possible. You start to see patterns where misfortune should have struck, coincidences that feel too precise to be random, and situations where you narrowly escape disaster without understanding why. The choice to protect you is intentional. It is based on recognition of your value, potential, or importance. They understand that your survival matters not just to you, but in ways that may influence others, circumstances, or outcomes in ways you cannot see. Their commitment to your protection is unwavering, often unseen, and remarkably effective, because it is executed by people who understand leverage, power, and the subtle mechanics of influence. They do not act because they must, but because they choose to, and the lengths they will go to shield you from harm can be shocking, overwhelming, and awe-inspiring once the reality of it begins to sink in. And finally, the realization that someone is willing to go to such lengths for you changes the way you see the world. It makes you aware that protection can be silent, but powerful, that influence can be invisible but absolute, and that the forces operating behind the scenes are capable of shaping reality in ways that defy expectation. It forces you to understand that your life, your survival, and your potential are not just products of chance, but are being actively preserved and nurtured by unseen allies whose dedication, intelligence, and reach are far beyond what you could have ever imagined, and whose willingness to act for you may just be the most shocking truth of all.